Next, a follow-up to our story last Friday about an Austin, Texas neighborhood that uses smart grid technology to track and control its energy consumption. Not everyone thinks that's a good idea. NewsHour correspondent Spencer Michaels reports on some California activists who'd like to see the devices banned.
Fairfax, California, a small, hip, politically liberal, environmentally concerned town in Marin County, across the Golden Gate from San Francisco. It's the home of Valerie Hood, a landscaper and activist who decided that the local utilities' decision to replace her traditional gas and electric meters posed a danger to her. She doesn't want a new one, a so-called smart meter that reads how much energy is being used and transmits the figures to Pacific Gas and Electric via radio signals. PG&E has installed 9 million smart meters in Northern California, part of a $2.2 billion program. It's been touted as a way to save money and energy because the transmitted information can be used to monitor home energy use. That allows residents to use appliances when demand is low, reducing their costs.
So just walking door to door, putting these on the door hangers.
They're not smart, they're not green, and they're not safe, and they're not legal.
Hood and her fellow activist, Mary Beth Brangan, believe wireless smart meters emit harmful electromagnetic radiation, a contention that has spurred a major debate and studies to back up both sides. Hood and Brangan took up the fight against the smart meters and started printing signs and petitions for several reasons.
PG&E's decided to do a wireless version. And they didn't need to be wireless. They could have been hardwired.
People have reported seizures. They've reported migraines. They've had trouble sleeping, heart problems, arrhythmias, a lot of symptoms from difficulties with smart meters.
This was just pushed on our communities without any sort of input or education or anything. And it was all of a sudden, you're going to get smart meters whether you like it or not.
They weren't alone. Environmentalists and others in several parts of the country have taken up the anti-smart meter cause as utilities spend $29 billion to upgrade their networks and install the new meters. Hood lobbied the Fairfax Town Council, and after several meetings, the council decided to ban the smart meters. The Marin County supervisors took a similar stand, outlawing new devices, at least for now. More than a dozen California cities and counties have passed such legislation.
They don't have the jurisdiction individually to create a smart meter free zone or whatever they want to call it.
Edward Randolph is Director of Energy for the California Public Utilities Commission, the only agency, he says, that has jurisdiction over the devices. Randolph says the PUC pushed the utilities to install smart meters.
The vast majority of all of the input and evidence is that society is going to benefit from the smart meters. I mean, the energy efficiency savings alone in the long term for the state of California.
And these opponents of the advanced or smart meter technology say they're driven by privacy and also their own health concerns.
People that get sick from smart meters are not crazy.
Mary Karen McClellan was one of several dozen people who gathered at a home in Ann Arbor today to protest DTE's intention to shut off electric service to 8 residents. McClellan and others say the meters make them sick.
We feel that those among us who are electrosensitive are like the canary in the coal mine. They're the early warning signal. For a minority, about 5% of the public, it will cause immediate health problems. That includes heart palpitations, headaches, brain fog, inability to sleep at night, all of these kind of things.
Goes down exponentially.
Still, opponents of smart meters like Joshua Hart continue their fight at the Public Utilities Commission and elsewhere. Hart founded Stop Smart Meters, and he says the studies PG&E cites conflict with others showing problems. He says no studies have been done on smart meters per se, but research on cell phones is relevant.
The National Institutes of Health have found changes in neurological chemistry because of exposure to wireless. There are hundreds of peer-reviewed articles that show impacts on human health and behavior at levels far below what the FCC guidelines indicate are permissible.
Hart is calling for a halt to the technology, even though PG&E is 90% through installing the new meters.
We think there should be an immediate moratorium on the technology, pending a series of independent hearings on the problems that have been identified. And this needs to be a national and international halt, and we need investigations.
The movement against smart meters has been joined not just by environmentalists and leftists, but also by Tea Party activists who see the meters as an invasion of privacy, since they collect data on people's electricity use that could indicate facts about their lifestyles.
The smart meters reveal how many people are home, what time you wake up in the morning, what appliances you're using, even perhaps what television program you're watching. And this is all information that is extraordinarily valuable to third-party corporations.
Do you sell the data to anyone?
Absolutely not.
Do you share it with anyone?
No, our customers own their data. We do not own their data.
One thing Hart and his supporters have achieved is a provision that people who want to keep their old meters can do so, provided they pay a $75 fee and $10 a month charges to opt out of the smart meter program.
A lot of people consider it extortion to have to pay to not have something on your house that can harm you.
PG&E's Burt says the company accepts the opt-out program even though the numbers are small, but it means the utility must maintain two separate systems at a cost.
We've got about 5 million households across the service territory. About 30,000 have elected to opt out. The rest of our customers are really engaged in a different way with the new technology.
While that new technology remains controversial, a utility research group says about half of U.S. homes, 65 million, will have wireless meters within 3 years.
In a blog post, Spencer further examines the dueling scientific claims about smart meters and whether they do or don't cause illnesses.
There are things that you can do in your own lives in order to reduce this type of exposure. I got into this topic about 5 years ago. Before then, I was a young technology enthusiast. I always used my smartphone and Wi-Fi. I worked in Silicon Valley and have a master's degree in engineering. So if anyone had told me that wireless technology could have health effects, I would have thought they're crazy. So if you're thinking that right now, I can relate. But this all changed for me over the period of about 1 week. And I started to experience headaches, ringing in the ears, insomnia, and a fatigue and brain fog that I'd never experienced before. And I shared this with a colleague at work. And she said, you know, the exact same thing happened to her husband when a wireless smart meter was installed in their home. So I went home that evening and I checked downstairs, and sure enough, we had a bank of wireless smart meters installed right below our bedroom in San Francisco. So this started me on a journey to learn as much about this topic as I possibly could. I now have a website about this, and I'm contacted by people all around the world every day who are experiencing the exact same things. It can be when they have a wireless smart meter installed, or a new Wi-Fi router, or even a cell tower placed across the street from their home. These are the common symptoms that people start to experience. This is actually from a published paper on the health effects of wireless smart meters. So, just here in the Bay Area, I'm in touch with dozens of people who've had their lives changed by this. Medical doctors, high school principals, teachers and students, IT professionals, and even entrepreneurs. These are people who had a normal life and then over a short period of time went to where they could no longer work, where they could no longer go to an office. Some of them actually have had to move out of their homes because they can't be in an environment which is normal now for most people. I've been in touch with people around the world who've become homeless because of this. There's many people that's actually happened to. And unfortunately, I know of people who've actually taken their lives because there's essentially no place they can go. And this is something that society does not yet recognize. My own life has been tremendously changed by this. After that first exposure to wireless smart meters, now I can no longer be in an environment with strong Wi-Fi for very long. So I can't go to my work the way I used to be able to. Most environments are now essentially toxic to me. So even finding a safe place to live has become very difficult. Imagine not being able to live in an apartment building where everyone has Wi-Fi, or to be able to live next to a cell tower. This is actually a proposed cell tower here in Berkeley. The residents have actually stopped it for now, but most churches and most schools now have cell towers on them. And so it exposes the people around them and, of course, the students who go to those schools.